Receiving simulator transmission. Uploading transmitted feed. Initializing playback sequence. Alright Seipher, we're ready.
Hey everyone, Seipher here, and welcome back to Seipher Plays Kingdom Hearts. In the last episode, we explored the depths of deep jungle to hopefully find our friends by meeting with the leader of Tarzan's guerrilla troop, Kerchak. Unfortunately, Clayton had other plans, and has destroyed any trust the guerrillas might have given us. This time, we'll be informing Jane of what Clayton did and figuring out where we go from here. However, before we do, I do have a few changes that I want to go over with you guys. First up, the AI for Tarzan. I forgot to actually change that around during these previous episodes or off screen. I have swapped him around so that he's regular attacking constantly, only frequently doing special attacks, though that isn't much of an issue for a reason that we'll get into a bit later, and frequently for his defensive moves, and putting him in only in emergency for HP items and MP items. In terms of his abilities, I have actually changed them around. He had a lot of attacks that he could do that cost 1 MP. I took them off along with this support skill of his, this active support skill, Wind Armor, which basically gives him a cloak of wind to increase his defense. I mainly did this because, despite how my Tarzan looks with 4 MP, he usually doesn't have very much MP. And if he is going to be using his MP, I want him to be focusing on healing herbs, since he's the only unit that we currently have who can use a healing technique right now. So I definitely want him saving his MP for that. In addition to taking those off, I put on both of his critical pluses. This will make it so that his normal attacks have a higher chance of landing critical hits, which is pretty good considering his weapon of choice, the spear here, has pretty good strength, about on par with the Kingdom Key, and he has a pretty good strength stat, so I'd say it's an easy trade-off getting rid of his skills for better normal attacks. Now then, before we actually go into the tent, I do have one thing that I have to say that I was a bit wrong on about Sabor from the previous episode. Sabor will appear repeatedly in the treehouse and cliff going forward, so if you travel up to the treehouse, you'll be able to fight Sabor there, and then if you jump off the backside of the treehouse toward that string with the plank of wood connected to it, you will land in the cliff and be able to fight Sabor there. Each time, Sabor will give you 15 EXP for defeating her, or him, whatever your preference. Not much to gain since she doesn't have any drops, but that's neither here nor there. Just figured it's something that you may want to do, especially if you want to trigger the various holes in the environment in the treehouse. In any case, let's head on inside now that I've covered that.
How could you do such a thing?
Now, Miss Porter, as I told you, I was not aiming at the gorilla.
You are not to go near the gorillas again.
Oh, because of one mishap. Come now. Huh? What am I doing with these imbeciles? Blasted gorillas! I'll hunt down every last one of them! I'll track them down somehow. I'll stake my life on it. Hmm? Hmm?
Well, that can't be good. Sounded like there were more enemies in the bamboo than just Sabor, so we'll have to check that out. However, before I do, there is one thing I wanted to mention that I forgot to mention back in episode 11 when we were talking to Jane for the first time. She mentions that we're obviously not related to Tarzan, and while that may seem like a pretty obvious statement given that Sora is dressed and speaks English, it does actually tie into a bit of interesting trivia about this game. Back in the early development, there was concept art for Sora to actually change outfits in various worlds, and Deep Jungle was the first of these worlds, in which he would be dressed in just a loincloth like Tarzan. I'm not really sure if I can show it on YouTube, since YouTube's a bit fickle with these sorts of things, and Sora is technically 14 years old, but the concept art does exist. I'm frankly glad that they didn't do this, as it already seems like a bit of a stretch. As I said, he speaks English, Jane notes that, and it doesn't really make much sense for Sora to be dressed in just a loincloth for this world. Heck, even our suspension of disbelief is already pretty high, considering Clayton and Jane are not freaking out over Donald and Goofy, who are an anthropomorphic dog and duck. But I suppose that's just a bit of interesting trivia for you. In any case, let's exit out. See what's going on.
Heartless!
Yep, the Heartless have appeared. Welcome a new enemy, the Power Wilds. These male monkey-like Heartless will mainly jump around and attack you with scratches. They'll generally jump out of the way of any attacks that you try and do yourself. We gotta protect G from that gorilla that we just saved. We will be seeing the Heartless throughout this world now that we've gotten this far in the story. Those Power Wilds, they do drop an item called a Powered Shard, which we will need quite a bit of. In any case, we're gonna have to go around and find more Heartless to defeat. They also have a pretty decent experience rate for a regular enemy, at least at this point. Ooh, Power Shard. Gonna need quite a few of these, so let's take care of it. Okay, another gummy, a fire gummy this time. Can be helpful for later on. Let's go to the cliff. Still more Power Wilds. I'm a little surprised that I had in my notes that another type of Heartless is supposed to be showing up here, but so far, no dice. Oh, and they also drop Protera chains, like the soldiers. That's another good thing about them. An Aerogaji, right? Okay, well, now to make our way back to the treehouse, now that we've taken care of things in this area, though I think the Heartless will start to spawn randomly. Okay, let's... Shouldn't be too much of an issue. Granted, I don't need to really waste time on these guys. Oh, shadows as well. New Heartless has appeared, the Bouncy Wild. They are basically the female equivalent of the Power Wilds. They run around, generally dodge you, they drop a lot of money on defeat. They will throw around bananas that can trip you up, and if you make enemies trip on their bananas, they will also drop money and occasionally their synthesis material, so definitely a good thing. However, you can easily trip on them and lose a bunch of money yourself, so be careful about it. I typically like... Oh, and they can also drop the power shards occasionally, or ethers. But that's all we really need to know for now, and I've got a lot of money. I forgot how much I've been saving up. Let's just ignore these guys for now and make our way over to Hippo Lagoon so that we can get up to the climbing trees and treehouse. Okay, gonna have to do the whole mini game again. And I forgot, you gotta make sure that you don't lock on because it messes with this area's AI, I guess you would say. Let's see, where to next? There we are. Okay. Okay, to finds 2, here we go. I remember this being a lot trickier back in the day, but I guess I was just impatient, as was my cousin who actually showed me this game for the first time. In any case, let's get on up to the climbing trees, where we will have to fight off these guys to save yet another gorilla, since the Heartless are attacking just every resident of Jeep Jungle that we can come across. But hey, I don't mind. Getting a bunch of these power wilds taken care of now means less synthesis hunting that I'll do off screen, so might as well take care of it on screen. Saved another gorilla, getting an Aeroga G left. That's good. That'll be pretty much the best wing that we can get for right now. To the treehouse we go. And I did come here off screen, like I said, just to trigger it, because I originally thought that you could only fight Sabor once in each of these areas, but I was wrong. We jump through here, you can see that hole in the floor, at least once I turn around and actually show it to you. That hole in the floor was actually made by Sabor when we first entered this area off screen. Provides an easy way to get down to the netting without having to jump off the edge, but all in all, not all that necessary to create, in my opinion. Okay, where are you? Are they down here? Ah, yep. Get a shell G from that one. Okay, and now that we've taken care of everything in the treehouse, I believe that makes 5, so we should return to camp. And the fastest way to do that would actually be to jump off the south end, or back end, whatever you want to... I'm not necessarily sure if that's the correct cardinal direction, but whatever. Jump down here to get to the cliff. And let's do a little bit of fighting. Okay, another power shard, that'll be great. Let's just get our way back to the camp now that we've saved 5 gorillas. Okay, come on. Really missing. Really need to get used to getting closer to these guys, at least with this Keyblade, but we'll see about that later on, once we actually get some new weapon options for Sora. And bananas, but oh well. Okay. Let's see here now. To the camp. More fighting, let's just do it. I don't want this episode to be too short. And... oh, okay. Geez, Sora, could you maybe move a bit further with your attacks? I mean, I know you're just a novice with a giant key, swinging it around like a club rather than a sword, but Oh well. Anyway, back into the tent we go. We haven't been able to find Clayton, and we were technically searching for Clayton after his whole gunshot fiasco. What do you have to say, Jane? I do hope Mr. Clayton is safe. You're a better person than me, Jane. I wouldn't really trust that guy, considering the obvious villain scenario that he's got going on. In any case, I would recommend that you guys save here now if you feel so inclined, because we will be getting into another big fight. And I would also make sure that your team is stocked up on items. I'm pretty sure that I'm good on... Yep, everybody's got potions. We should be fine to do, so let's go out. A gunshot from the direction of the bamboo thicket, so let's head on out. The apex predator just does not know when to quit. Sabor is back for another fight, and tougher than ever. Boasting more health and stronger swipes than in our previous encounters, but largely, she hasn't changed tactics, although she does hit a bit harder now. And that lunge is definitely more powerful than anything that we've dealt with before from her. Thankfully, once she gets enough HP damage, she will eventually just dart into the thicket to... Or at least she's supposed to. Yep, she darts into the thicket and will jump out at another area of the thicket to attack you from behind, usually. But shouldn't be an issue. Obtained White Fang. That's a little gruesome to consider. And now the Heartless are ambushing us, but really, that's not an issue. Sabor wasn't all that much of an issue, and honestly shouldn't be if you're at least around level 17, so pretty easy to deal with. Let's just take this guy out. Another power shard. And you know what, let's try and take out these bouncy wilds. I want to see if I can get at least something to trip on one of their bananas that isn't us. Or our party members, but I don't think I'm going to have much luck. Okay, another power shard. We are just really raking these things in. Granted, we do have 2 lucky strikes equipped. Let's head back to camp. Ooh, white mushrooms. Unfortunately, they don't have anything new for us just yet, so I'm gonna just ignore them, but you can get them to spawn here, and we'll want to make note of that for after we complete this world. So let's head into the tent. Hey, where's Jane? What's wrong, Tarzan? Something coming. Jane. Danger. Jane near treehouse. Sounds like trouble. Let's go. Well, that is certainly disconcerting. We'd better prepare if we're gonna go save her. Next time, we're heading off toward the treehouse to rescue Jane and the gorillas. I want to thank you all for watching. Until next time, stay gold.
Playback sequence terminated. Transmission disconnected.